do we get the Africa that we want to see?
Okay, thank you very much. This is the moment in which some people will be upset with me, but I don't care. No problem. I'm those who believe that I do have the responsibility to tell my people what is wrong and what is right. So I'm not ready to join any revolution that has to do with color of skin. I'm not into that. I'm into the African revolution. And African means if you're African, irrespective of your appearance, I will accept you. That's my point of view. And all these ideas of expelling the whites or expelling the Arabs, etc., will not bring any solution to our situation. That's totally that's totally wrong. That's totally wrong, because the problem is that the minds, not the bodies, is the minds. The problem is in the minds. Once somebody is white supremacist, he can be a black white supremacist. So we are fighting against white and Arab supremacy in the African continent. And believe me, many light-skinned Africans who have been living in the African continent for generations, they also do reject Arab and white supremacy. And I know them, and I speak to them. I know them. Most especially in the north of Africa, there's a movement of Amazites that do reject the Arab supremacy that is in place in the north of Africa. And they very much consider themselves Africans as other Africans with different colors, shapes, or whatever. So this racial construct is something also from the colonizers. They were the creators of the races. That's important for us to know. We want to get rid of the European culture and Arab culture in our African continent, but we do not realize that the race question is also a European thing and an Arab thing. In our societies, this was non-existent. Non-existent. In fact, we do produce in our African continent, we do produce people from all types of shades, including albinos. These are the origins of the white, light-skinned populations on the planet Earth. As a historian, I can tell you, yes, of course, originally all mankind was black. Yes, that's for sure. But we are not in that 45,000 years ago. We are not in that time. We are in the present time. We are in the present time in which there are various types of peoples in this planet Earth, not only whites and blacks, also Chinese people, peoples from Asia with all types of shades, colors, etc. So our revolution should not be based on that, please. Our revolution should be based on the best to create the better conditions for Africa and to create a better future for all Africans, irrespective of the appearance. Who is going to decide who is white or black? Imagine if I have a child, my kids are black because I was married to an African woman. But if my kids are lighter than me, so they are not African, and me, I am into the middle, I am African. Who is going to decide that? In South Africa, there was a policy of the paper bag. Do you know that policy? The paper bag. Once you have the color of the paper bag, you are black. If you don't have the color of the paper, that's ridiculous. Are we going to build that type of Africa with those ideas? We are the ideas of the colonizers, in fact. These are in our original societies, this wasn't in place. This wasn't in place. So there is an circulating idea that we are being diminished, that our population is being reduced by the policies of the new colonizers. And of course, these policies existed. Yes, there were some policies trying to introduce some sicknesses in our African populations for us not to grow, etc. But this has bring to a failure because the black populations in Africa are growing like any other population in planet Earth. Just look at the statistics. So we are not in fear of disappearance. There's no fear in disappearance. So we can live along with white people who consider themselves Africans as long as they are not racist. And if they are racist, we should not expel them from the African continent. We should jail them, because they will be under the African laws. And the African laws should be laws that prevent racism. So once we create a society in which racism is forbidden, those people will not be expelled. They will be jailed. They will be jailed because that would be a crime. And easy. It's like that. If they are Africans, they should face African laws. They should accept African laws. And one of our African laws should be fully anti-racist. These biological ideas of superiority, inferiority. Now, there is a group of people in the United States. Let me tell you, the conditions in our African continent have little to do with the conditions in the United States. First of all, our brothers and sisters are fighting against the oppressors who are also Black Africans in most countries. And we know this very well. Let's face the reality, because we need to face the reality in order to change things. I've seen Black brothers punishing physically other Black brothers in our continent. Workers, slashing workers. This is a common practice in some countries nowadays. And this has nothing to do with white supremacy, etc. This is a common practice nowadays. People working in domestic service. I don't know if you call it like that in English. People working in houses, they are very, very much mistreated in several countries. And this has nothing to do with white supremacy. This has to do with our inequalities in our continent. So we must face our inequalities. And then we must face the white supremacy and the Arab supremacy, Chinese supremacy, whatever supremacy. But I am not against any Chinese person, white person, or whoever who comes to the African continent to bring something. If that person is coming to our continent to bring something, to help us build, to do win-win businesses, I'm okay with that person. I'm not afraid of any person in planet Earth. But it seems that some brothers and sisters are like they are afraid of white people. I say, no, kill them, expel them. Please. In the African continent is like about 85% to 90% of the peoples are peoples to be considered to be called Black everywhere. But there is like between 10 and 15% of the peoples who are Semitic peoples or Arab peoples or light-skinned people or even white peoples. What are we going to do with them? To kill them? To expel them? I'm not into that, please. We don't need that. We need a revolution of the minds. Then we change the mindset even of those white peoples living in Africa. There will not be supremacists anymore. And if they are supremacists, there will be laws to punish them. No need to expel them. Imagine there are some people in Europe, calling to expel all non-white peoples from Europe. And we are fighting against this. And we want to do this in our continent. No, please. What are we going to do with America? America belongs to the Native Americans. I'm a person of Native American background too. So what are we going to do? All whites and all mixed peoples and all blacks also from United States should go away, because that land belongs to the Native Americans. And this is for sure that it belongs to the Native Americans. But we are not going to do this, because we are living in a world in which we need to have relationships with each one. But to build a state, a nation, we should create a mental frame in which each of its citizens is committed to the liberation and strengthening of that nation. If you're white, I don't have any problem. In the ANC, there were whites. In the Umkhonto weSizwe in South Africa, there were whites. Some of them, there were whites. I met some whites in Europe that are fighting for migrants' rights, and some of them even got jailed because of that. So are you going to kill or expel a person like that? No. I'm not into that revolution. I'm into the revolution of bettering the world. Through bettering Africa, we will better the world. So I'm very sure that many Afrocentric brothers and sisters are against this. And they may believe that I am such type of person who does not believe that the African continent belongs to the black peoples. Of course, the whole herd originally was only black. The whole herd. I know this very well. I'm not against this idea. But now we are in this present century, and there are millions and hundreds of millions. I'm not talking about only millions, hundreds of millions. Look at the Chinese population, 1.5 billion. Our population, 1.5 billion. Arabs, no less than half a billion, etc., etc. Europeans, 1 billion. So what are we going to do? Are we going to create an international racial warfare? No, please. Let's be serious. I want to build an Africa that will be strong, anti-racist, in which every person, irrespective of his color, can strive, can prosper, can show his best. So please, I'm sorry, I'm being very passionate. This is because I'm contaminated by the Spaniards who are like that. Everybody knows.
Thank you very much, Brother Intumi, for your views and your perspectives there. Oh, yes, I think you just opened up, a really interesting discussion there. You said I might not like some of what you had to say, but, it's about us having the conversation. Can we as Africans, live peacefully among white people? I mean, what is the track record? What does our history show us? What does our history tell us where we've allowed white people to come and live among us? You said yourself, Brother Antumi, we were, as Africans everywhere, we were the majority people in Europe. We allowed white people to come and settle among us. Look what happened to us in Europe. We were the majority people in America. Those who they described as the Indians with the feathers from eyewitness accounts were basically described as either Negroes, black, or Africans. So we know the original so-called Indians and people of the Americas, the natives of the Americas, the originals were African there as well. Look what happened when we allowed the white people to come and settle among us and live peaceably among us. Ultimately, they became the invaders, and they committed genocide and wiped us almost totally off the face of the earth in all of these places where we were. Are we not to learn from history? Are we to allow them to come and live among us again? We allow them to come in and join us and settle among us. Well, actually, they were the invaders in the north of Africa. And look where we are today now. Africa in the north has been lost to those who call themselves Arabs, who are basically just mixed race people, lost to those people who have this supremacy ideology. Look what's happening in Tunisia, a part of Africa where, which once belonged to the Carthaginians, the Africans, now has been overrun by a group of people who don't even want the indigenous people living among them. Look what happened to the indigenous people of Australia when they allowed, the Europeans to come in and live among them there. Do we not learn from history? I love, your idealism and the utopia. It's wonderful. And of course, there are some white people who will fight alongside us, but the reality is that it's their people who are in control, and it's their people who are causing the problems and our demise wherever we are in the world. I mean, I agree that as Africans at one time, we never used to see color, hence why we allowed people from all different parts of the world to come and live among us. But then what do? They bring their ideologies and they indoctrinate our people, and then we end up fighting each other. We can see it in South Africa today. So to what extent should race not be a factor? When we look at our history, it tells us the reverse, my brother, that race, has a lot to do with everything. And so can racism really ever be erased? You've opened up, you've posed a number of questions there that I think would require a show in its own right. But yes, I mean, I'm clear where I stand. I feel that we as Africans, and to what you said, the extent to what you said about, us being able to have a fair and just society where non-Africans can live among us, I think is true. Our history has proven that, we can manage and run such societies. But today we're not in control. Today, even where it may appear that some of our African leaders are in control, we've heard from panel representatives that the extent to which they've been manipulated by the elite and ruling classes and those who have selected them and put them in positions. And so for as long as you know, the Europeans are in control. Can we really have a better world? Or do we really need us as Africans to take back our rightful positions so that we can be the rulers and controllers of the world, the ones who protect the environment, the one who protect the animal kingdom, the ones who protect, you know, the marine life, the ones who are least likely to cause destruction to the world and the planet? Is the world waiting on us? Is the planet waiting on us to take back our rightful place so that we can stop the destruction that is happening on so many levels? You know, diseases, wars, plagues, you know, chemical warfare, biological seeds and plants that is just devastating the land. We need to, in my opinion, take back our rightful place of control so that we can create the society that you described there, my brother, because I believe once we are in control, we can have that sort of society that you talk about, because it's in our humanity to create such societies.